I first joined the quartet in my very first year, maybe months in. It was a fledgling group, not famous or highly regarded yet. It was called, wait on this, the String Art Quartet by Irv Eisenberg's wife, Sheila. So she was committed to it. She fought tooth and nail to keep that, what I thought was a very silly name. And eventually I won out, much to her dismay, and we changed it to a name which could be instantly recognized worldwide, the Philadelphia String Quartet. Well, I got busy right away using my extra musical skills, my personal skills and my gift of gab, and my smarts, if you want to call it that, and try to build a quartet from what then was just a little group that played young audience concerts and a couple of minor concerts here and there. A workshop with the Youngstown Symphony Orchestra, teaching them how to play, driving all night to get to Youngstown, playing a concert, coaching the orchestra, and then coming back in the nick of time. I remember driving half on the sidewalk to beat a certain red light so I could make it to rehearsal in Philly without getting in trouble with Normandy. And we spent our time sometimes driving from after a Philadelphia Orchestra concert at 11 o'clock, driving all night long to Boston to study with the great Eugene Lehner, who had been in the Polish String Quartet and could coach us on our repertoire, which was Schoenberg, Bartok, Beethoven, and others. Loved being coached by Klaus Adam of the Juilliard Quartet when we were in New York. Trying to be more than just a local startup quartet, but on the way towards being a world-renowned group. That was our dream, and we certainly worked hard to try to achieve it, and ultimately did. It was pretty much a catch-as-catch-can life as a quartet in Philly. There's a wonderful photo of us rehearsing in a hotel room somewhere with Charlie Brennan, our cellist, sitting on the edge of a bed with his cello and cabinets all around, a typical hotel room, not much room, but we took advantage of every minute. Our daily rehearsal schedule was in Vida Reynolds' apartment, which was a building adjacent to the Academy of Music. So we were just steps away from where we could rehearse. Our quartet personnel situation was pretty diverse as I think about it. Charlie Brennan had been in the Detroit and Cleveland orchestras. Irv had been sitting in the second violin section for some 20 years. Vida had been assistant to the very famous Ephraim Zimbalist, teaching, as it happened, as Zimbalist assistant. But when all the guys went off to war, Normandy was short of personnel in the orchestra, and he asked Zimbalist if he would, quote, lend him, Normandy, Vida Reynolds for the duration of the war till the men were back. And so Vida agreed to leave Zimbalist and Curtis and help Normandy out. She ended up staying 22 years. That was a long-term loan. Telling you about the growth of a string quartet, it's not an easy path because you do a million very, very small things. You try to play here, try to play there, get invited when somebody notices you to the Library of Congress, and they called that concert the best concert of the year. That didn't hurt. Then in the off-season from the orchestra, we would fly to Europe and pay for concerts to be played over there. That's the way it was done. So we got the State Department to pitch in a little bit, and a local composer who was connected to a foundation paid to have one of his pieces played. In order to do that, he paid for all the concerts for our opening tour of Europe. That's the way it was done. Any way you could get on a stage and have somebody say, okay, this quartet is all right. You gradually build that until you live the dream. The dream is to be a quartet. And we were living it. So I got brainstormed once to talk to Lynn's grandmother, the great Sophie Ruskay, great in a way of philanthropic activities, founding synagogues, a great lady reading to prisoners. And I said, Sophie, you willing to write a letter for me to the University of Pennsylvania, and I'll dictate it, that you heard this young quartet, she had heard us somewhere, and they seemed deserving of a helping hand, and that she would contribute $5,000 if they would have me play a concert series at Penn, and I put up the $5,000. Although Sophie wouldn't hear of that, so she called every brother, uncle, cousin, and everybody in the big Ruskay family and said, ante up. So the $100 checks kept coming in until $5,000 was accumulated, and that was sent to George Rockberg, the then dean of the music school at Penn, and he gave us a title, Quartet in Residence. Talk about one step up on that ladder. Quartet in Residence at Penn with a series at the museum there, and we blew Philadelphia apart with the repertoire that we played. With us, it was always a lot of contemporary, a lot of world premieres, all Philadelphia premieres, the lists as long as your arm.